Hi, I'm Allison, a therapist in Davidson, North Carolina. Today I want to walk you through a basic understanding of attachment theory. Attachment is the dance of requests and responses. It's how we get our needs met, and it forms really early in life. Between the ages of 0 and 3, our brain has the most new neural connections that it's making than any other part of our life. It's about 1 million new neural connections per second. So our brain is firing and wiring to try and understand ourselves and the other, mostly our primary caregiver or parent, in relationship. And what we learn early on about relationships tends to stay with us really ongoing for the rest of our life into adult relationships. Helps us to understand and how we perceive ourselves or each other in relationship. We're often hurt in relationship with other people, but we also heal in relationship with each other. So in trauma-informed care, and when you work with a therapist, the relationship is the vehicle for change. The amazing thing about neuroplasticity is once we understand what's going on for ourselves, we can work to change how we're engaging in relationship with each other. So I hope you find today's video informative and helpful with a few simple practices at the end for how to optimize your relationships for healthy, connected attunement. All right, let's break down attachment theory. So, like we talked about before, attachment is a dance of requests and responses. We all have needs. As babies, that starts with basic human needs, needing to be fed, needing to sleep, needing to have our diaper changed. And so we make these requests, usually by crying or being upset, and then hopefully a caregiver can be attuned to our needs and our need gets met. When we think about attachment, it lives at the intersection of our needs being met. When we think about earning secure, connected attachment, it all happens when our needs get met. That doesn't mean that as parents we have to be perfect. We just need to practice being attuned. So we've got this spectrum of positive view of ourself, meaning low anxiety when we're alone. And then we've got the spectrum of a negative view of ourself, meaning might be pretty high anxiety when we're alone. Then we throw that out on the spectrum of how do we do when we pull other people into relationships? Do we have a positive view of others? Or do we have a negative view of others? And attachment can kind of be broken down into 4 different types. The first type is secure attachment. Secure attachment is kind of what we're going for here. And based off some of the research of attachment interviews, most of us in America have a secure attachment, about 58%. And the things that earn us secure attachment are protection, meaning that our caregiver or our parents offered us protection first and foremost. Attunement, meaning they pay pretty good attention to our needs. When we make a request, our needs are met. And when we're upset, we get soothing. And that our parents or our caregivers delight in us. They enjoy us being around. They generally like having us there. And unconditional support. That doesn't mean that they agree with us all the time or that they're going to let us do something that's unsafe, but they offer unconditional support. So it might look like, hey buddy, you're not going to jump off the couch, but I applaud your bravery and your courage and your interest in trying new things. Another major piece that earns us secure attachment is consistency and predictability. Households from the age of 0 to 3 that are earning secure attachment tend to be pretty secure in themselves. There's a lot of stability, and when there's not stability or someone's upset, there's a lot of soothing that happens. As an adult, these needs being met early on earn you a belief that your basic needs will be met in relationship. As an adult, it's pretty easy to trust. And you're interdependent, meaning you can meet someone else's needs as well as have your needs met in relationship. So we want to kind of be working towards secure attachment. And through neuroplasticity, even if we're in an insecure aspect of attachment, which is all the other 3 that we're going to go through here, we know that we can work towards earning secure attachment by engaging in healthy relationships and good communication. So the next style of attachment that I want us to go through is dismissive, also known as avoidant. So in this style, our caregiver maybe was meeting our basic human needs. So we got food, we maybe had water, we had the house, we had maybe some security, but not always there emotionally. So we might have been told that it's not okay to cry and that our emotional needs were kind of dismissed as not being important or not being valid. So as an adult, that ends up making us subconsciously believe that our emotional needs aren't really going to be met because they weren't met when we were a kiddo. So this can lead to adults who are super independent, pretty self-sufficient, but also avoiding vulnerability. This can often lead to a whole lot of success, but not a lot of depth in our relationships. So we might throw ourselves into work and be able to be really focused and social and engaged, but also a little bit surface level. This is about 23% of the population in North America, based off some of the research studies. Then we come over here and we've got our third type, which is anxious, ambivalent, also known as preoccupied. Yay! So in this one, sometimes our needs were totally met. At times we might have had the total attunement, soothing, delight, and unconditional support of our parent. But we couldn't rely on it because there was a whole lot of unpredictability. So our kiddo might perceive that the parents were unpredictable themselves, and the needs were sometimes fully met, but it was often done with inconsistency. So as an adult, there's a need for uninterrupted care because we didn't get that growing up. And we know what it feels like because sometimes it was there, but not all the times. This can lead us to be extra clingy, or we end up putting pressure or seek to control others in order to get our needs met. Because we know what it feels like to get our needs met sometimes, but we don't really trust that it's going to happen all the time. So we end up having a real sense of needing to get that met through control. It can also lead to low self-esteem and a need for constant reassurance, which can make it tough on our relationships with other people because we don't always really trust that they're going to meet all of those needs. And then in less than 1% of the population, we've got a fearful avoidant combo. This is sort of a combination that's also called disorganized. And in this combination, it combines our other two types of insecure attachment. So we end up having this sense of really wanting closeness with other people and wanting to connect with them and feeling like that would be really good for us, but also feeling super duper unsafe in that and avoiding that at all cost. So this happens when our caregiver, our primary caregiver or parent, was the source of our safety, but was also the source of fear for us. This can happen often when there was abuse, trauma, and extreme dysregulation in our primary caregiver or parent. And it makes it really hard to organize consistent strategies to achieve closeness with other people. We're sort of aware of the need for closeness or for care, but as soon as we become aware of that need, we also get this activated feeling of overwhelm and fear. And it can kick on survival behaviors like extreme fight or flight. And so sometimes it can be really challenging for people who are trying to get close to us if we have this disorganized style of attachment, because we might really, really want them close. And then as soon as they get close, we might be really, really checked out and avoidant of them or run away. So even though there's a desire for connection, we kind of avoid it because there's a fear of rejection. Ultimately, all three of these styles, with these two being a little bit more common in insecurity, are wanting to work towards and to move towards a secure attachment. And we can do that by practicing attuning to our own needs as well as to the needs of others. So I want to offer you 3 little tips and tricks for practicing attunement and connection with other people and with yourself at the same time as we work towards earning secure attachment. Here are 3 of my favorite practices that I use with clients when we're working on building healthy, connected relationships. This involves having an attunement for yourself as well as to another person. So the first practice I would invite you to do is to notice where you feel relationships with different people in your body. So if it's comfortable for you, you could close your eyes. If that feels like too much, go ahead and just let your gaze focus on one central spot. And take a moment to just notice your body for a moment. And then I would invite you to notice where in your body you might feel a connection to an animal that feels safe, loving, and warm, or an interaction that you've had with an animal that feels safe and connected. This could be an animal that you currently keep as a pet. It could be a childhood pet that you remember fondly, or it could be a friend or family member's animal that you remember fond interactions with. See where you sense that memory or that impact, that cord, that connection in your body. For me, I think fondly of my dog, Hank, and I feel him in my heart, a sense of connection there. Then you might think of a teacher a teacher that you had at some point in your life that felt safe and connected and attuned to you. Where do you feel the memory of that teacher? Is it in the same space in your body or a different space? Does the quality of that imprint in your body feel different? And you can do this with lots of different people. You might notice where you feel or sense one of your children or your children in your body, where you sense a parent, if that's been a safe or connected relationship for you, or a sibling. So just play with the different people in your life and how you can sense them even when you're not with them, when you're in a completely different room or completely different continent. Being able to sense connection to somebody, even when we're detached and not in the same space, can actually help us foster a deeper sense of attachment with them. The second exercise is hand tracing. So go ahead and look at your palm, and whatever hand is your dominant hand, use that as your writing finger and trace the lines on your hand. Just noticing the different lines and tracing them. This is a practice I learned through natural lifemanship. So just noticing these different lines, and can you pay attention to what it feels like to both offer that touch to your hand and to receive it? Notice the pressure that you're using, the sensation of receiving, the sensation of offering that touch. And then go ahead and pause and notice the two hands side by side. Can you sense any differences in them? The hand that was offering touch versus the hand that was receiving touch. What lingers in your hand after tracing those lines? This is a practice that I often give parent-child pairings or couples when they come into my office. And you can deepen the practice by offering your hand to someone else and drawing on their hand. So it becomes a circle of offering and receiving, offering and receiving. And noticing, is the pressure that you're using similar or different to the partner that you're working with on that task? And just noticing how their lines on their hand might be different or similar to yours. That can be an opportunity to practice dual focus and attention on self and on other at the same time. My third practice that I like to invite pairings with, whether an individual that's coupling with me in the session, or a parent-child couple, or a romantic couple or a married couple, is walking and practicing attunement while you're walking. So the way you can do this is setting the pace, having one person set the pace and one person be the follower. And the person who's setting the pace can walk as quickly or slowly as they want to. And I would recommend switching it up a little bit. So walking swiftly, let your partner try and match your pace. And when you slow down, see if they can slow down with you. And the person who's setting that pace gets to ask the follower questions while you're doing this. So can you pay attention to the body changes as well as get up into those neocortex higher levels of functioning of the brain all at the same time? These could be mundane questions like, what did you have for lunch today? What did you have for breakfast? What are you doing later today? Just some of those questions. And noticing, is it easy or difficult to pay attention to that pace while also answering questions? That can be a practice of connection, attunement, and really paying attention in thought and in embodiment. And then you can switch who's the leader and who's the follower. It can be a really fun practice to play with that dual focus of self and other in relationship. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I'll include a bunch of links at the bottom in the comments, as well as a blog post that goes into a little bit more detail about these 4 main patterns of attachment that we see in adults and children. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comments of this video, and I'm very happy to answer and respond as I can. Thank you so much for connecting in with me in this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.